So there's an epic song going around the charts at the moment, Water by Tyla. It's a great song, but you can't really play it if you're a house DJ like me, so I had to make a remix of it. I dropped it about 2 weeks ago. It's my most streamed song on SoundCloud, so I thought I'd do a breakdown for you guys today on the YouTube, show you how I made it, and this one is playable in a house set now. So you got to start with that iconic vocal, but because we're turning it into a house track, we don't want to use too much of the vocals because otherwise it doesn't really flow in the house setting. So what I decided to do is I looped that epic sort of intro chorus part of the vocals.
Make me sweat, make me harder, make me lose my breath, make me water.
So there you go, it sounds like that. It's got quite a lot of processing on it now, but yeah, I looped that, and I tell you what, it took me ages to find the right beat. I'm still not actually sure if this beat is if the pickup is in the right slot, but it does sound right, and it took me ages to do it. So it's kind of a pickup beat, you know, it's before the one. So once I had that, I built a bass line around that, and the bass line sounds like this. It sounds a bit empty because it hasn't got the kick with it as well, but when we add the kick, we get something that's really carved down. It's a proper good tech house groove. Oof! I'm really happy with that one. So with the bass line, it's pretty simple. I've just got processing on it with Decapitator to give it some grit in the track. Saturn 2 here is just boosting the mids of the bass right there. As you can see here, I shaped the bass out of the way of the kick, but using multi-band sidechain, so I'm not losing a lot of the bass. I only lose the frequencies that are going to clash with the kick. And then this other one further down the chain will be a little distortion. Yeah, it's a distortion drive. So every 16th of a beat, it's just giving a bit of distortion. We'll play it like that. Turn it off. There's that difference. And again, because it's multi-band, because it's Shavebox, you can use multi-band. I'm only distorting, you know, the top frequencies. Otherwise it sounds way too much. Every kick is getting shaped down just a little bit. So when we play the kick and the bass together, because they're perfectly carved out for each other, and I've done all that side chaining correctly, when we look at the waveform in a group here, you can see they sit really well together. Woo! So there is the bass and kick groove. So I knew that just the vocal with the kick and the bass wasn't going to be enough to keep the listener happy during the drop. So I added this intermittent triplet sound that was the following. And that is literally as simple as it sounds. It's just a triplet. We're not playing on a triplet grid, but I'm playing triplet notes, as you can see here. It repeats every 4 bars because it's in time with the music. So it plays up and down with the vocals, and you can see that's what the notes look like there. So here, nothing here. So it's like that call and response that we're getting. That's exactly what I was going for. To make it sit nicely in the track, you know, just a bit of processing. A key, obviously, because I'm playing with those vocals, is to have a compressor. As you can see, I've got it on here. So I'm sidechaining away this one-shot sound from the vocals with that compressor. Just a lot of automation, really. Because also I used this sound in the build-up, but I wrote a full pattern. So in the build-up, I wanted to use a different sound because I just couldn't keep using that root note playing on a triplet pattern. It would have got a bit boring. I devised this pattern instead. Here we go. Woo! It's more techy, cool build-up sound. Something like in a James Hype track. I don't know. Anyway, to keep it interesting, that's what I did. And as you can see, I got a lot of automation on it. Filter cutoff, the resonance on the auto filters, moving around, playing with the reverb inside Serum as well. Compressors off here because I don't want to compress against the vocals at this point. The gain is at 0. I actually upped it in the drop because I thought that tech shot could do with a bit more volume. And yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I also bring it back in the B sections as well. One thing I also wanted to mention about the lead sound is this shaper box I've got on it, giving it some cool grit and harmonics. So that is literally a drive and a noise thing playing on those peaks when it's hitting, just to give it some interesting sound. As you can see, I've got a little audio chain here of reverbs, delays, decapitator, giving it more sound and interest again. So that's the lead sound. It's pretty basic. So for the drums in this track, they were pretty simple. Not a lot going on, quite a techie beat, good vibes. 2 hats layered together. 2 claps layered together. A snare. a closed hat every 16th, top loop. Where this top loop is different to a lot of the ones I've been using, I saw this in a James type video, I really knocked the transients down. So you can see beats mode transients with the arrow facing forward on 100 sounds like this. Very open, very long, a lot of what I didn't want for this track because I knew I wanted techie sounds. So lower that down to 12. You get really short sounds and it makes it sound really minimal and good. Perfect for this track because the transients are really short. I got an extra hat that plays every bar, another little sample, which is more of a shaker. Those are the only two samples I used, you know, in terms of like loops, top loops for drums in this track. Got a percussion hit playing. Only plays in the build up and B section, and obviously a snare roll. Intermittent snares throughout, and then this cool snare shuffle with a reverse on it as well. Just something extra to make it sound cool. Being a tech house track, of course, you've got to have one shot, so I had this cool techie one shot for the B section introduction. The other one shot I have is a horn at the drop. And that's a proper deep horn, as you can hear. I may have even pitched it down a whole key, I'm not sure. It's been frozen probably twice at this point because it's got kickstart and all sorts on it that was helping it sidechain into the mix nicely. So coming out of the B section into the break, I had these big horns that I used. Love these things. Again, you can see there I've got the captator and a large horn and audio effect rack, giving it some cool sounds, delay, bit of a crazy EQ, and another serum preset. That's how I break up the two drops. And we come into the second one, same again, and then we have this awesome gap, which I was so happy I was able to make. Sounds like this. So I had that idea very early on, it just took me ages to actually execute it. So it was one of the last things I actually did. So I used this vocal to lead into it. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to loop that swim, you know, on repeat, taking a part of the vocal, and I looped that swim part so we get. The reason it fades in is because I use the swim of the vocal to sort of hit louder, and then by the time this gets loud it's already playing. Bit of automation on it, and what makes it pitch up is literally just the tune. You can see here it's quite a big automation graph. But the tune goes from 0 semitones and then exponentially hits 12. So we get that slow boo, and then it pitches really quickly at the end. And there you go, you can see the pitch there in the bottom left on the granulator. And the only other thing that changes is the grain being the size of the clip. So you can see the grain gets shorter as we start pitching up more. And alongside that, I've got another simple riser that I made in Serum. And I'm just using an EQ8 to sort of bring that in slowly like a filter. So we get that in the gap, and then we have a reverse into the vocal and a cool little shuffle from the bass here. Got the atmosphere here, which altogether sounds really sick. Come on. So the best way to build atmosphere is you want multiple strings, multiple drones, you know, build an overall sound. Don't just use one string. It's never enough, and always make them quieter than you think you need to. Got all my effects in there. As you can see here, just some cool risers that I made myself. So another pitch riser like I spoke about earlier. And because it's going on for longer, it gives me more time to pitch that riser up so it goes slower. And also a white noise, where I'm modulating something in the matrix. As you can see here, this LFO is modulating, and that's what gives it that like sweeping sound, as it were. More drones, risers, etc. And something cool I added for this track, because the song was called Water. I thought, what if I could add a cool water sound? So I did. I just added cave water drips in the background. It sounded quite cool. It's on a pan. It's not really doing a lot, but it's something there. And I've also got this cool percussion here that in the extended version you will hear. So in the build up for the vocals, obviously because I'm playing that same loop on repeat, I've got to make it different somehow. I'm not using a lot of vocals. So what I do early on in the build is I keep the vocals very far in the back and make people try and guess what the song is. So when you first hear it, you might not recognize it straight away. And so it builds. Throughout the build, the vocals build as well. The way I did that, pretty simple. Kept the reverb really high, bring that down. EQ frequency down here, as you can see, it starts off all the way up here and it slowly pitches down throughout, which is good. So as that one's moving down, it's opening it up to the crowd. Kickstart is staying pretty low, then towards this sort of when I double up, it gets really fast, chop it out of the way. And yeah, that's about it. And that's it, that's the whole song. We got this cool little shuffle at the end here that I was really happy with. Sounds like this. So I thought for the second B section, because it was twice as long as the first, I wanted to do something cool and different. Just trying stuff out really at this point. And it is literally just a break in it all. So to make that break, I've got the lead still playing through, stop the bass for a bar. But so the bass comes back in on its own, so it sounds quite heavy. Drums, 2 bars missing completely, except for the closed hat. And then I do a triple kick, which is something really cool I haven't tried before, so it sounds like this. Triple kick, quite annoying to do to make sure your waves sound nice, but as long as you record and produce your sounds correctly, it should be okay. Because I resampled the original kick, I've really got the shortening effect on it, so I have to worry about Shaper Box doing something weird there. That's also why they're on separate tracks. Because if I just did a MIDI duplicate 3 times there, I'd have to turn the Shaper Box on and off and it would just get hella confusing and unnecessary. So by doing that, I can avoid all of that. Another thing I've got to mention, I've just seen it here, is just something called some noise. I honestly couldn't even tell you how I made that. I probably did a bit of resampling, recording out, and then Shaper Box here, I'm creating a cool pattern with it. You can see it there on the screen. I didn't even bother to colour that, so it's probably like something I added right to the end just to give a bit more flavour. And yeah, progression of drums and all that. That's pretty much it. And I have my radio edit here, which I made when I whacked it up on SoundCloud, because people like radio edits because they're quicker. So what I did for the radio edit, I just did a little bit of the intro sound. And I love that triple kick in this track, so I had to add the triple kick back in for that. And it's a cool way to start it alongside the hook. The reason I use that lead sound straight away is to give people like a, whoa, this is a cool track. And then we instantly drop into some bass and the drums are playing and they progress quicker and we're into the first drop. But we don't give the game away too early. And that's it, that's the full track. I'm remixing a track every single week over on SoundCloud. I even released one on Christmas Day. I missed New Year's Day, but I'm working on one for this week already. And yeah, so I've got loads on there. I'm going to be doing more breakdowns of them when I can. I remixed NRG by Jazzy. I did a breakdown for that one. I've done a Lil Baby remix. I'm working on a Houdini remix by Dua Lipa. I've done a Jack Harlow remix. I've done a Prada remix. So there's a lot in the work. Really work on the production skills, trying to get them together. But yeah, just wanted to do another breakdown for you guys. There you go. One thing you may notice, it doesn't sound as loud as the final track. That's because I turned all the mastering off for the purposes of talking to you guys about it and playing individual sounds. But yeah, the mastering just adds it some fatness and stuff. We don't need to get into that. Water by Tyla. DatHazza remix. Go check it out. It's on SoundCloud now. Let me know what you think. Free download as well for you on SoundCloud, so don't miss it. See you in the next one.